Imagine a war machine that lasted for centuries, an empire stretching from the Balkans to Yemen, from the gates of Vienna to Egypt, fighting crusader armies, challenging European kingdoms, suppressing rebellions. And here's the thing, it never went bankrupt under any circumstances. This is where the greatest mystery of the Ottoman Empire begins. Most empires are crushed under the weight of war. Treasuries empty, armies dissolve, economies collapse. So how did the Ottomans survive for 623 years? Luck? Military genius? No. The answer is far more cunning. Cash flow. Welcome to Financial Historian Academy and to a world where history's greatest secrets lie hidden in ledger books. From 1299 to 1922, longer than Rome, more enduring than the British Empire. How did it survive? But that's not the real question. The real question to ask is this: how does a state that fights almost non-stop avoid financial loss? Most of us think empires collapse when they lose wars, but the truth is very different. Empires collapse when they run out of money. The Ottomans understood this very early, and they did the exact opposite of what Europe did. They turned war from a cost into an investment. So how did they do it? Osman Ghazi's small principality in northwestern Anatolia was in the right place at the right time. Byzantium was collapsing. The Mongols were withdrawing. There was a huge power vacuum. The aim of the first conquests wasn't just to gain territory. Every city was a gateway to revenue. New taxes. New resources. New trade routes. The Ottomans saw war not as an expense, but as a source of income. Bursa fell in 1326, and then in the 1350s they crossed into Rumelia. The Ottomans were no longer just a Turkish principality. They owned all the trade routes between Europe and Asia. Silk passes through Ottoman lands. Spices pass through Ottoman lands. Weapons, horses, timber, sugar, all pass through the Ottoman gate, and taxes are collected on each passage. In modern terms, the Ottomans controlled the main artery of the world economy, and because of this, all the needs and supply of the army were not a problem. Now things get interesting. How does a state feed an army today? It pays salaries, buys equipment, provides shelter, gives pensions. Budgets are depleted. The Ottomans said, "We won't pay salaries." What do you mean? They established the Timar system. A Sipahi isn't given land. He's given a tax right. You can collect taxes from this village, but in return, you'll feed your own horse. You'll buy your own armor. You'll come to war ready. The state doesn't pay a salary. The soldier finances himself. Think about it. If the government today gave you a district and said, go collect its taxes and come to the army in return, sounds crazy, right? But in the 1400s, this system worked flawlessly. Why? The state doesn't spend money. The soldier invests in the local economy because prosperous village equals more taxes. The peasant lives under an orderly system. The army is constantly ready, the treasury constantly full. While a European king spent piles of gold to assemble his army, the Ottomans turned the already existing tax system into an army. War no longer depletes the budget. It activates the system. But cavalry wasn't enough. The empire also needed infantry, and this infantry had to be flawless, loyal, disciplined. The Ottomans created a second brilliant system, the devshirme system. Children were taken from Christian villages in the Balkans, brought to Istanbul, converted to Islam, raised in military schools, and trained throughout their lives to remain loyal only to the state. Ethical? No. Brutal? Absolutely. But from a financial perspective, the state outsources the cost of raising children to others. It provides education, but the burden of diapers, food, illness, and upbringing remains in the conquered communities. Result: a cheap but elite army. While the Timar system cheapened the cavalry, the devshirme system cheapened the infantry. When the two systems combined, the Ottomans had Europe's cheapest military machine. Now let's see the big picture. The Ottomans conquer a region. What do they gain? New territory. New taxpayers. New Timars, meaning new soldiers. New trade routes. New ports. Each conquest finances the next campaign. In Europe, even if a king won a war, he'd return home in debt. The Ottomans, as always, returned home wealthy. The Ottomans controlled the Straits, the Danube, the Mediterranean, the Red Sea, and important places like the Silk Road. All merchants paid taxes to the Ottomans. By the 1500s, the Ottoman Empire became one of the world's wealthiest states. Why? Because for them, warfare wasn't a cost, it was an investment. The Ottomans also had these state monopolies: salt, tobacco, coffee under state control. Everyone buys, money flows continuously. Modern equivalent: oil in Saudi Arabia, natural gas in Russia. Tribute system: Wallachia, Moldavia, Crimea making annual payments. The Ottomans don't even govern, but money comes in. In other words, they're making money even without fighting. But no system lasts forever. By the 1700s, the world changed. Europe industrialized. Sea routes were discovered. Ottoman land trade routes no longer important. The Timar system rotted. Administrators abused it. The Janissaries became a state within a state, resisted reforms, depleted the treasury. And worst of all, the Ottomans began borrowing. In the 1800s, debts to European banks, interest rates rising, payments delayed. In 1881, Ottoman finances fall into the hands of France and England. 6 centuries of independence ends. Reason? The balance sheet. Is the Ottoman system old? Not at all. It just changed clothes. Timar system, today private military companies, Wagner, Blackwater. Trade routes, today Strait of Hormuz, Suez, South China Sea. State monopolies, today Saudi Aramco, Gazprom. Conquest economics, today oil wars, invasions for mineral resources. Debt spiral, today Argentina, Greece, U.S. national debt. Financial logic never changed. Only the players and time changed. Empires don't die on the battlefield. They die in the ledger books. The Ottomans ruled for 623 years because they controlled cash flow. They collapsed because cash flow stopped. Financial systems can appear strong for centuries. But when they start rotting from the foundation, collapse is swift. If this story opened a new window for you, stay tuned. Because history never just tells the past, it warns of the future. Listening is up to you. Subscribe to Financial Historian Academy and let's discover together the financial secrets hidden in history. Because those who don't understand the lessons of the past are doomed to repeat the mistakes of the future.